Let's not get carried away.
All right. Yes, the chair is here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today for episode 23, and I'm just going to pull the Band-Aid off right now. It's going to be a little bit bittersweet. Last week, we had a great, very happy announcement that our very own Mr. Odin, father of Loki, first of his name.
That's me.
Will be joining Iron Mace, and we all rejoiced. However, it is with significant sadness that today we announce this will be his final official Hold the Line episode as a co-host.
As a community member, I will unfortunately no longer be here, but perhaps someday I will return.
Hey, what the
To
frick's
speak
up
to
with
the
Soma
community.
then?
I don't know. I think they're gonna have to figure that out too. They're probably gonna do.
Sorry, it just clicked
same
in my head.
thing.
I did not to put you on the spot. My bad.
It also could just be that what I'm doing and what he's doing are different.
Dude,
enough
just
that
come
it's
out and
okay.
say it, bro. Just come out and say it. You fucking hate us. You just want to go. All right, just
This is a perfect opportunity to bail out.
I'm used to being the most handsome man in the room, and I can't do that with y'all here. So it's
yeah.
just
Good
not good.
point.
It's not good for my image.
Mhm.
I gotta leave.
That makes sense now.
But yes, it is true. This is my final podcast. I am both very excited about my future with Iron Mace. I mean, very fucking excited, and very sad that I have to leave the podcast because it's been a great time. How long have I been here now? How many weeks have we done this since I've been on? We've only done like 12 since I started.
That'd be half. I was gonna say you've been an official co-host for at least half of the episodes that we've had.
You guys have to find somebody to replace me, or you'd have to go back to 3. But I don't know if is 3 the magic number or.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Three worked. Yeah. 3 was fine. Things that make me and Sobad, me and you drive all the time and rant, but before you, it was me and Sobad would just fucking argue about rogues for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, so. we'll have to get Katie in here. We'll bring some more drama to the network.
I hear Julian's available. Maybe he'll want to join.
N-Boss is a free agent right now, as far as I know. So
correct N-Boss's content.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
He has that radio voice too.
Yeah, he does.
Shoot him a message. I don't know. But since last week, is there anything more you can disclose about like what you're doing with Iron Mace, just to give some context?
I will be working with the community in a few different ways. Part of it does have to do with actually you guys. I can't talk too much about it yet, but I'll be involved. You guys will see me in the wings. We discussed a little bit about whether or not I will have separate accounts, and you may have noticed I've disappeared from 1 or 2 Discords just to keep things professional. But everybody still has my personal contact and all that. So yeah, I'll be doing some work with the community. I have some plans to organize some events and stuff in the future, and I'll be working with Soma on some of his work as well. Unfortunately, I really can't about
no, I'm trying to put you on the spot. Don't get yourself in trouble because of me. Just had to ask.
No, I know, I get it. As soon as I can talk about it, believe me, I will, because you know me, I can't shut up about anything.
Nah, understood. Well, be sad to see you go, buddy.
Indeed.
I
think it's appropriate that you drive the bus today. Take
all right,
us through the patch notes and whatever topics your heart desires.
As my first topic as an Iron Mace employee, I fucking hate that they removed the names, man.
We're gonna get right into that. All right, just for context.
Wow. All right.
Explain what it is to people who don't know, though.
Yeah, so in HR, you can no longer see allied teammates' names. You can't see anybody's nameplates. So you can see their names in the corner. But now when your teammate is stumbling through the dark, you cannot tell if it's actually them unless you know their gear and what they look like. And even then, it gets very hectic. When combat gets intense, it's much easier to hit your teammates now because you have no way to tell the difference. It's kind of cool, but man, it's going to take so long to adjust to. I don't know if I like it. I kind of want them to revert it, but we got to give it at least a little bit of time to test.
Have you gotten in there and played some duos, trios with it, like the no names?
Yes. I was
have you had any
earlier,
any
bad experiences? Shot me and I died. And then I was just in trios with N-Boss and so bad, and they were literally right next to me in a dark room. And they walked away, but I didn't know they weren't next to me anymore. And I was like dismantling a trap, and all of a sudden somebody just comes up and starts attacking me. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I thought those you guys right next to me. Guy just runs off, didn't even take any of my stuff, just pieces out. Like, Abyss.
It was awesome.
Yeah, let's just go to the
The
line and just
chaos.
get your opinions. What do you think, Seb? How do you feel about the nameplates?
Chaos! I love it. I've only done 2 dungeons so far. In the first one, there was a dead man on the ground in gold gear with grim smiles. There was no sounds of combat. Nothing was around. Maybe his teammate killed him. Maybe he thought it was the enemy. I don't know. I think that it's a really, really awesome change. Definitely let's play with it for a while. And I'm looking forward to it, especially with the recent Tarkov fiasco. We can stand to be a little bit more like Tarkov. A little bit more. We won't get too crazy with it, but
I think
I'm just waiting
feels
for
good.
Yeah,
I don't know if we want to be more like Tarkov right now.
Yeah,
We want to distance as much as possible from Tarkov at the moment.
all I'm saying is, of course, the solo player who plays Goblin Caves loves the name changes.
Is that you?
No,
It gives the solos and the duos into the
No,
trios a
I'm
way
just-
better chance of winning.
I'm just
Yeah.
joshing with you. But how do you feel, Arcane, about it?
So I haven't had a lot of time to play around with it, but I am curious to see where it goes. On the surface, I don't hate it. I think there's probably an argument to be made that it will make just choosing your race maybe a little bit more important. I don't think it's going to be a stretch to say you would encourage your teammates to all run orc or all run elf so that you're a little bit more easily identifiable.
Blue Liz.
Right.
Yeah.
In HR, not a lot of people are
Lizard team
rocking the
advantage.
lizards typically, but yes. So stuff like that, I think it'll be easy, or not easy, interesting to see how the meta evolves and how easy it is to pick out your teammates after you've had a week to practice with it, right?
Yeah.
And really pay attention to what's going on. But I'm just thinking of how the call outs change, right? Like, hey, I switched armor. By the way, I'm not wearing an Oracle robe anymore. I just switched to vestments. Like, the call outs in the game are going to change a little bit. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing at all. I don't think it'll be nearly as controversial as something like multiclassing, but I am curious to hear the community feedback.
Yeah, I'm kind of like at a similar opinion. Whereas I don't hate it. I played like 20-ish raids today. I don't think we had like any kind of crazy friendly fire, like once or twice, but like nothing crazy where we killed somebody that's on our team. My main concern is I think it disproportionately like hurts the newer player experience more so than the veteran player experience. I feel like the competent, good veteran teams like know enough to like call out correctly and like not hit each other and stay close. Whereas I think if you're just like a new player trying to play the game with some friends or some gathering hall people, God forbid, I think like it's just another barrier to entry for like new players trying to get some dungeon time in. I think that kind of sucks.
The gathering hall experience for sure definitely gets hurt by that. Like playing with randoms is going to be way harder in HR now. It's definitely a disadvantage.
So counter argument though, are the new players in HR? We know that they're still, unless there is a change that I missed, they're still not allowed in HR until level 20. Is that enough time to prepare them?
Wait, so this isn't normals? I haven't played normals yet. So
no,
is there
normal's still the same.
Oh, okay. I did not know that actually. I guess it's not as bad then. I did not realize
Nameplates
that.
are still in normals. Yeah.
Yeah. Another, I guess maybe it's a good and a bad thing, is that this slightly changes like the threes meta. Of, like a lot of the time, you would just spawn into threes and like you just like go in 3 directions and it's like scout out teams and try to find where people are. But now, like you're definitely way more encouraged to stay together and like go through the dungeon as a party, which like makes sense. So that's definitely a benefit. That's also like a sleeper buff to like the buff ball comps. We were finding
I
out.
actually disagree. I think this would be worse for buff ball because buff ball wants to just buff up and run at you and just overpower you with pure stats. But that also includes having like heals and stuff. Sometimes it doesn't always have a healer. I mean, I think now with multiclassing, you're almost guaranteed to have a healer in a buff ball, but it's much harder to heal your teammates. And I think it's easier to accidentally hit your teammates. But I also haven't played against. I played against one buff ball and they were cheaters with artifacts.
Yep.
So
we probably ran to the same team because I've been running to that what I think is cheaters with artifacts buff ball team all day today.
The Kuma's claw with the Cyclops Vision Crystal and the guy with life after death.
No, we ran into like some Viola guy.
Yeah, we were getting hit. We were getting hit from like 10 meters away by
Falchion. Dude, we love that. Dude, we love that.
It was fun.
But I do, contrary to what you're saying, I do think it is a huge buff to buff ball because now all of a sudden everybody just wants to be together at all times. And a lot of the times how you would beat buff ball is sending like a flank, like you kind of do a range standstill against buff ball, send like your rogue or your wizard or whatever on a flank, and then try to hit him from the side while you hit him from the front. Like that's how you would try to deal with it. But now it's way harder to play a comp that requires a flank, because once you're out of LOS of your team, like who the fuck knows what's going on when the fight happens. It's a little dicey. That being said, it's interesting. I think it could be good. I just worry like about the barrier to entry for new players. That's my main concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a controversial change. Although these days, what isn't?
Mhm.
But I don't know. I don't know how much I like it. I do think it's interesting, and we gotta let it rock for a little while. After I played a couple games, I wasn't thinking about it as much, and I definitely noticed that it made me more attentive to my surroundings because I didn't know where my teammates were. But I think it's also going to make it even more frustrating when you play with people who don't calm as much, and the onus is going to end up being on those people to be very
Yeah, it's like
vocal.
Tarkov. We all have those friends that like we just like refuse to play with in Tarkov sometimes because they just don't communicate properly and they shoot you or
So
you
bad.
shoot them.
Has a whole shrimp tray. He's got a
Yeah,
shrimp fucking cocktail over here.
he's fucking living his best life over here.
Why don't you save some of that for when my groceries get here?
Oh my god, you feel like a rat. I will say that one of my all-time favorite moments from Tarkov was when we all decided to wear like the skull mask, and then we ran into another 5-man that all had skull masks, and we were like at a gas station, and a bunch of us were running around, and then at one point I just like looked up, and he looked at me, and I was like, "Guys, is this one of you?" And like everyone just started shooting. You're like team killing, you're killing the other. Like that part was so awesome, and so I think part of that can come to this game, and like you're saying, like it probably does help buff balls because they are tight, but at the same time, like if you get somebody inside of them, like in the back line, they might just turn and start swinging, and then it's kind of open chaos.
Mhm.
So I'm
Listen,
going to give it a couple days and see.
I would feel like way less bad about it if like there was more cosmetic options for players. Like if we had like tabards or signias on your capes or
Dude, guild tabards,
armbands
we need 'em.
or anything along those lines where you can put it on as a cosmetic to like almost have a team uniform. You
Yeah.
know?
Yep. The ability to dye your gear. Yeah. Like something
Exactly.
like that
Anything.
would
It could be
great.
anything.
Dyeing your gear would be really cool, actually. I'd be down for that.
Odin's over here
Well-
taking notes for Iron Mace.
I had nothing official on the record. So, anyways, let's talk patch notes. So there
We
were a couple
started at the
fixes.
end. Yeah, we started at the
Yeah.
end first. You want to work your way up from the bottom?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So Mind Wipes Daily, I'm sure everybody's a huge fan of that. Now we get the Gamba every single day. Brick
You
our
know,
characters every
yeah.
day. It's super fun.
Every single day I get to be disappointed. It's fucking great.
You
Holy
get to
shit.
brick another character every
I'm-
24 hours. It's spectacular.
Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I have not been disappointed yet. So I never re-rolled
I've had
once
bad luck today.
until this morning when I knew the hotfix was going in. So my cleric, I've been running intense focus, chain lightning, and zap, and then all pretty much traditional cleric stuff, and loving life since it came out, and I haven't re-rolled them. Then I decided, hey, hotfix is coming out. They're probably going to reset the mind wipe, so I've got a free 13 token roll right now, might as well hit it. And I got some good stuff, but I wasn't crazy about it. Hotfix comes out, mind wipe resets right away, and I get to reroll a third time. Out of those 3 times total, none of them were crazy good, but I was never really disappointed. I didn't get perfection, but I got usable things. Part of that is because I think the synergy between wizard and cleric is just so good. It's hard to get bad choices. So
Yeah, I
for
think if
people
you
that
take
are
Warlock or
really
Cleric-
gambling, yeah, I mean for a lot of people, I think they're choosing very risky gambles with their multi-classing choices, and that would certainly cause a different perspective. And maybe that's where Ken's coming from. What were you trying to?
Oh no,
roll, Ken?
no! I'm cleric wizard, cleric warlock, or wizard
Oh,
warlock.
well, shoot.
I'm pretty safe, but I hear what you're saying. Like the people who are trying to get all the best perks from barbarian and then all the best perks from
Right.
rogue on a wizard base and like steal something from bar. Like yeah, obviously the more pools you dip your rolls into, the harder it's going to be. Like I said, I'm mainly just bitching because I just hate the gambling system, but my builds are fine. I think it's good that we can do it every 24 hours though, because waiting like
Same.
the way they had it before, just like if you did brick your character, all of a sudden you're like, okay, well I'm just like weak this entire weekend. I am just a liability to my team
Yeah.
for the entire weekend, and I feel bad about it.
Yeah. It was definitely frustrating before.
Yeah, I agree.
The current system for multiclassing definitely makes multiclassing feel like a necessity. Playing a pure of any class, you're whenever you see when we've played various combinations of me, Katie, Sobad, and Boss in the last couple of days. And whenever you see a pure class, is what we were calling it, you never really feel as afraid of them as you would of any multi-class. So I think that just sort of sends a message that the multi-classing is too strong, and they've already acknowledged that. SDF even really said that this wasn't the final vision, and that in the patch description that there's a more deterministic multi-classing system that is being worked on. So we'll probably hear about that relatively soon. And I think that the multi-classing feels good when you get the right stuff. It's really frustrating when you don't. But now having daily mind wipes is really nice. And I got crossbow mastery, crossbow mastery, robust, iron will, and savage roar on my fighter. So now I can play my fighter. But before then, I was like, I can't really play my fighter because you need those things to play on the class now. So hopefully the deterministic system makes it a little bit more restricted in what you can do, because right now it's just complete chaos, but also makes it easier to actually access the good builds.
None. It's a good take. So, like, while we're on like the topic of multi-classing, after getting another week of like multi-class under our belts, how are we all kind of feeling about it? Do you found any really cool builds that make you excited? Are you running into things that make you frustrated? Let's maybe start with you, Odin. How do you feel?
There's not a lot of things that, well, actually, okay, that's not true. Anything that's abusing as much damage stacking as possible is real bullshit right now. I honestly thought that I was going to be more frustrated by like the Giga Tank barbarians running around more than anything else. But the worst thing that you can run into right now is like either a rogue or a fighter, and in some cases a barbarian that has just gotten like the perfect lineup of perks to get like axe mastery, sword mastery, slayer, like some mixture of those, and then stacking gear. I was in HR in low tier with 40% PDR on my fighter, and a rogue with like mid gear but like some add damage and some strength hit me for 60% of my life with a hound skull on, with a single hit from the rapier and I was like, this is not okay. This is not okay. That's too much. And that's what I'm not liking right now.
Like the Slayer, Axe Master, Sword Master, dual wield Slayers I've been running into. I've seen one shot by Falchions or arming swords. It just feels miserable. Some of the damage is a little too high. Maybe they had to like tweak the curve just a little bit on how damage is. But yeah,
it's a little out of control.
I feel you about that.
Other than that, no, I think it's pretty solid right now. I'm liking it.
I'm having a good time. Like, I'm having a good time.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's just it's fun and broken.
Yep. Yeah, that's more or less my take. It hasn't changed much since last week. I think the most egregious things they did address. The one thing that I was most frustrated by was ambush, one shot,
the windlass.
Windlass, yes, or regular crossbow. If you have a good enough crossbow, and like I wasn't giga geared, I was running like my son and I just jump in. It's like, hey, we just came out of a normal boss. We've got some greens and blues. Let's just run it back into ice caves. And you run into a rogue with windlass and ambush, or anyone for that matter, and you're just dead. Like, fight is over before it began. So that was really frustrating. So I'm glad they addressed that in the patch.
They also fixed poison magic missiles before it got out of hand. Thankfully, they caught that.
No, bro.
No, that shit was real broken. You could leg shot somebody and just instantly stack up 17 poison damage.
And they fixed Smite on ranged weapons, which I don't know if it was like overpowered or anything, but I ran it on my rogue for like 7 hours, and I was just throwing knives and double hand crossbowing, and I was melting people with Smite. That was nice. But like, they're fixing the outliers, and overall I think multi-classing is really fun. I don't even feel like we need a deterministic system anymore now that we have a baker's dozen skill points and we can reset every day. Like, I just bricked my warlock, but he's been bricked like all week.
It's not that bad, yeah.
But it's not that bad. I still almost feel like we should just get to choose, because like, it is weird. Like, I literally bricked my warlock. I went 0 for 13 on overheal on cleric and was like, okay, well, like, I'll just play him tomorrow because that's what I want to play. But it would be nice to just have like a drop down list of classes and then just choose whatever the hell I want. And then, that would help with testing. It would help to fix the outliers, and then it would also make it so we can sort of just play whatever we want to play, right? Like, I don't know. I don't have to wait a whole day to reclass my character. I can just, leave raid and then just like go rogue. Okay, now I'm gonna do hide, phantomize, whatever the case is. I think it would be funner just to choose, or like have some way where you unlock them. Like you can unlock a couple per day, but then you always have them rather than having to reroll each day. Like after like a week of grinding or questing or something, I can always just make whatever characters I want to make.
It would be cool.
But
Maybe there's like a droppable item off like a boss or something. Like you kill
yeah,
Lich and you get a mind wipe shard off the Lich or something. That could be cool.
this could actually unlock the way for like kind of like gem slots or whatever. Now we have like perk slots, and so like you're saying, you get a drop, and you're like, oh, I got phantomize. I'm just gonna go sell that on the auction house. And
Oh, that'd
then
be cool too.
if somebody wants
Yeah,
phantomize, like that actually unlocks like a fun way for you can have like the bosses and norms drop them as
that's like
well.
Path of
So,
Exile gemming. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean,
Interesting.
there's a lot
Would
they
that
can
be
do with
tied
it.
to the
And
gear
so
though, or would that be like a separate thing?
it could be a separate thing, but it just unlocks like the idea of being able to slot something somewhere. And so I don't know. I think it's
So
incredible, and I hope it never goes away. I told
and
someone
any
last
like
night.
any
I hope
fresh builds? Any like cool things you've been cooking up, having fun with?
I mean, I have play a lot of stupid builds, and the one that I just unlocked for my barbarian and my rogue is both of them have robust, potion chugger, phantomize, hide, undead slaying. And so both of those, their only objective is to go down to Inferno in the high tier of HR. I wear like off-world purples. So I'm in cheap gear, but I'm in like the 300 plus lobby. My only objective is to pull a shitload of monsters onto the team that's bossing, hide and or phantomize, or both, whatever the case
That's
is,
toxic.
and then
Oh,
wipe
so
them.
you're a
So
griefer.
I
Okay,
can
yeah.
go do the boss by myself because I can kill Warlord, Lich, and GK if I have Undead Slaying, Robust, Potion Chugger, right? And then I can reset if I fuck up. So I like that build, but it's not very useful to a team.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
come out and say it, dude. You're a piece of shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know,
That's just-
Tell
I
it
don't
like
mind.
it
I don't mind
is.
being called that from a buff faller. You know what I'm saying? Like someone's got to counter you guys. All right. You don't see my nameplate anymore. You don't even see me. I'm hidden. The monsters are there. Be
No, that's funny.
aware.
That is fun. That is fun. But for me, like the only thing I've run into that's like been super egregious has been just like the Iron Will and anti-magic stacking.
Yeah.
That's been like miserable. Like I got into a fight today where we were fighting like this buff ball team. We killed like the wizard and the bard and the cleric, and then we just had the fighter left alive. And like all three, and like I hit him. I kid you not, 10 spells. I judged him twice, and I hit him 3 times with my crystal sword, and he was just still there. And I don't know what to say. Like I don't know what more I have to do to kill somebody. I'm like a geared individual. I'm hitting them with everything.
Cute individual.
It just I just don't know what I could do against it. It sucks. And if I knew that he had anti magic and Iron Will, I would have just fucking let him run from the beginning because I know I can't kill him. I don't know. I just think they have to either tone down the magic resistance curve or the max magic resistance, or maybe make it so you can't take both at the same time. But those two
Speaking of
things
curves.
stacking turns off half of the classes in the game for people.
Speaking of curves, they changed the curve of spellcasting speed and the knowledge requirement for spell memory slightly. I didn't really notice it on my warlock, but I only played him with a kit that I'd already had built the other day, where I was already at a decent amount of cast speed, so I didn't really feel it. Has anybody really tested like normals casters to see how they feel? Because I feel like that's what it was mostly aimed at, is to bring the lower
The
end
low
up.
end, yeah. I haven't played normals. Like I said, I haven't really
Better.
noticed it much at a high end, but if it's better at the low end, that's great too.
Yeah, it's better.
Better.
Yeah,
It's good.
it's slightly noticeable. I don't know if the casual player will notice it, but I noticed it right away.
I mean, you have Holy Light on most of your builds, so you probably notice it. Really,
I don't.
like, immediately.
I actually don't, because I don't run
Or
a lot of
Sanctuary.
10 spell. I run Sanct. Yes, I run Lesser, Sanct, Protect,
It's very obvious
and
on
now
those spells.
yeah, now Zap and Chain. So like you notice it, even like yeah, even on Zap and Protect. I mean, you can feel it. So it is a good change, in my opinion, so far. I mean, a wizard would be a better litmus test probably than a cleric, because he's going to be really reliant on that for all of his offensive capability. But yeah, so far from my end, good.
I think they also adjusted the regular interaction speed curve, and that was a weird one to me. And I think it's just because people were catching on to the lyres. You can get a lyre with regular interaction speed, like a blue lyre, and it like in some cases for some classes it would like double your interaction speed, which is a little ridiculous. But at the same time, it's like using a slot for utility item. Now I don't know if they buffed it or nerfed it, but it sounded like they nerfed it from what I saw. I haven't heard any reports of it yet. That feels like one of those things we won't hear too much about until like a few days into the patch. Pretty inconsequential overall, but still just a weird thing to look at. I'm hoping maybe what that actually means is that they just did again like the lower end of interaction speed. They buffed it. I feel like it better on my barbarian, but that could just be it could just be placebo.
I mean, overall, the last couple of weeks as well with the regular interaction speed, I think a lot of us were complaining that the door closing meta was a little ridiculous, especially on the
Mhm.
slower classes. And so now they've sacrificed some stat that they are making most of the base classes somewhat homogenized, and I think that's a good thing. Like you can't just have doors slammed in your face like every 2 seconds, and then they're like half a hallway away. And
Right.
then speaking of like reductions, I feel like the movement speed cap is so good for this game.
I like it.
Like, I don't know, like,
100%.
especially when I see somebody with rage and sprint, I'm like, okay, well, like, that's not really gonna do a lot for that. Like, I'm at 308, like, they're not really gonna be able to catch me anyway. And so it's nice that now I'm not just getting like ran the fuck down all the time by like plate wearing maniacs. Like, if I want to, it's not that expensive to build pretty fast. Like sorry, I always use percentage, like 320 plus, you can pretty much build with just Lightfoot boots and maybe loose trousers or Brave Hunter pants or whatever. And so that's really nice. Like you have the option to get away if you want to without taking a movement speed ability.
Yeah, no, the movement speed definitely feels better. Like I was like a lot of people were kind of mad about it at first, but like now there was a point in time where it felt like spacing didn't matter because no matter like if I had space on an opponent and I was 300 movement speed and they had sprint or rage, they can close whatever gap they wanted to. And now it feels like if I'm smart and if I space properly and I have a gap in my opponent, if I keep that space even through their cooldowns, like if I play well and like position properly, I get rewarded for it. Whereas before, I feel like a Slayer or a Barbarian could just turn their brain off, close their eyes, hit rage and sprint, W key, and just get to me. And now they actually have to like think a little bit, which is good.
Yeah.
100.
It's good. It's a good change. And also, I think they removed movement speed from pants. You can't get it on accessories anymore. It's just on boots, right? So
Boots and I
it's
think the Cloak of Darkness.
the Cloak of Darkness. Yeah. So there's like a
And,
few
and
select
you can
pieces.
add you stack too, which is like
Right,
the
you
new.
can add your stack, but that is. I feel like it is more.
It's a higher cost for sure.
Right, it's a higher cost to agi stack than it was to movement speed stack, and so
Yeah.
we've definitely hit a better like average movement speed for classes, and it feels a little bit closer to where I was talking about, where like we were completely agnostic from armor or from movement speed stats, and it was just fixed on how much resistance you have determines how much stats you have, movement speed. But I think they've struck a pretty good balance. I haven't felt like the movement speed is an oppressive thing like it was in the past, so I think it's headed in the right direction. It's
I
good
also
stuff.
feel like a lot of the complaints that I see about multi-classing involve the sort of unknown and like I don't know what killed me or like I don't know how to counter this and whatnot. But the core feeling of the game is the same to me. Like if I'm a close range class that stacks close range abilities and like magic resist, PDR, and health or whatever, I still want to go to melee. And if I'm not that class, I don't want them to come to me in melee.
Mhm.
And most people have like mid range spells or ranged or long range spells or ranged. Like there's still just the three tiers
Mm.
of where you want someone to fight with. And then if you're losing in any of those, you try to reset. And
Yeah,
if
the
you're up,
trifecta is
if
still
you're up,
intact.
you like
Yeah.
push. Yeah. So uh, like I think people will just get used to this, and it's sort of like this nameplate thing. It's weird coming from like all the way back at like the starting playtest and to see all these changes, but I still feel like the game is going in like a really good direction. And once we get used to these, they'll just become commonplace, and like we'll just learn to play with them and like them. And I don't know, I still feel like the game's in a really good state. What do you guys feel like? Like
Well,
if
you
new
kind of
players
hit
came
on the
now,
head
yeah.
about the multi-classing. Like, you don't have like the class identity that we used to have, but at the end of the day, I go into a raid, I see people, I'm like, oh, that's caster guy. Oh, that's melee
Mhm.
guy. Oh, that's the guy with the bow. Oh, that's the I'm gonna be invisible and one shot you guy. Like, there's still these same themes. They're just like not class specific anymore.
Right.
And but I do think there should be more visual cues to like what somebody is running a game. Like I talked about this last week. I've been ranting about it on stream ad nauseum, but I think if you have anti magic, I should know. If you have robust, there should be a visual cue that I know. If somebody with hide and I see you before you hide, I should like there should be something. Maybe you have like that weird smoke around you if you're like a hider or something. There's like things visual cues for people to look at the enemy and be like, okay, he has X, Y, and Z tools at his disposal, and I will play accordingly. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too much, but give players information.
Yeah, we talked about this a little on the side. How I think the one problem that the game does still have when it comes to how you handle a fight
Mhm.
is knowing when you're actually winning the fight. It's there's not a great like representation because you could hit if you don't know what somebody's stats are, you could hit them, like you said, with like 5 spells. But if they're super high magic res, you're just kind of guessing whether or not they're close to dead. Obviously, most people, if you hit them with 5 spells, they're probably going to be really close to dead if they're not already dead. So it's going to give you confidence to push in.
Yeah,
But if they're still like over half health, then that's a big mistake, and you
like
get
that
punished.
fighter. That fighter, I hit him like I said, I hit him with 10 spells. I don't exaggerate. I'm like, okay, obviously he's low. Let's fucking get active with the crystal sword like I do. And I hit him 3 times, and like I said, I just had no idea that he had anti magic and iron will, and was just an unkillable person. I didn't know that. Yeah. Had some way of knowing.
Well, we talked a little bit on the just in the group chat about maybe like an audio cue or something that like gives you an indication that you've hit somebody really hard. Obviously, it's not going to give you like a fixed percentage, but if
Mhm.
if you've done like more than 30% of somebody's health in a single hit, you can like tell because they really let out like a pained gasp or something.
Or if they're like
Uh,
below 30%, they get a little bloody or something. Things like that would be
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Posture change so that they look
Yeah.
a little bit more haggard or something. I think those are all like decent ideas that I don't think would be too hard to implement. But I don't know. We've also talked about doing things like having a damage cap, where you can only do a certain percentage of somebody's health in a single
Mhm.
attack before, which would fix a lot of things like the reckless ambush. But now that they've removed that, I don't know if that's really necessary. If they can balance out things like the Slayer Rogue or Fighter Axe specialization Slayer, I think if they can get that stuff figured out, I think we're in a situation where you don't really run into like one shot, two shot scenarios too often unless you're like kind of just punching above your own weight, like trying to go into melee as a wizard with a two-handed axe barbarian. I think you're generally like, aside from the magic resistance issues, I think you're generally you have a pretty good idea of what kind of damage you're gonna deal or take.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
So-
very specific issue, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with the latter more than the former. I think I'm on the opposite side of the argument with Ken here. I don't think that perks should be like any perks that I'm running. I don't think there should be a visual indicator to anyone to give away what perks I'm running. I do think what Odin mentioned is definitely a step in the right direction to give visual indicators of how much damage you've done. And I think that solves for a lot of the things that ultimately that you're concerned about. Like if
Well, we
you
already
hit that
have it.
fighter 10 times and on the seventh or on the fourth time you were like, yeah, this guy's probably won. And on the fifth time, he's got to be won. Sixth time, okay, this is insane. And then you just keep doing it out of pure
Sky-hacking.
curiosity. And you're a masochist, right? But if you had heard any kind of audio or seen any kind of visual indicator that gave you a clue that you were actually doing damage, then I don't think the argument that you're making is nearly as substantial, right? Like I get the class identity argument. Like you should understand to some extent when you see a character and you can probably identify their class, although now it's a little bit more muddled, but okay. You should understand the pool of capabilities they have to some extent. I don't think you should be able to understand everything you can do. I think that's dangerous if you can, because then the second that someone has some off meta build, if I'm running Brewmaster and like I smell like beer, I'm burping as I run around the dungeon like uncontrollably, and you just know that I'm running Brewmaster, then that gives away a non-meta build like that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I agree with the latter more than the former. To just real quick piggyback on what Josh was saying, I totally agree it's going in the right direction. Although I do think the thing that gives me the most hope right now is one of the comments made in the patch notes or the hotfix notes today, where SDF said, "Please know, community, we're looking at you. We hear your concerns about the loss of class identity.
I
in
sent
the current
SDF a message
multi-class.
this morning, and I was like,
If
"Dude,
you
good
instigated
job with
that,
the patch description this morning." No, I
Oh,
didn't. I'm not taking credit for anything. Remember,
all right.
remember, I'm not talking Iron Mason play on this podcast. This is my final podcast as a community member. But I did send a message to FDS this morning and say, "Hey, dude, good
those
job on the
were-
patch description. I know the player base is going to appreciate having
Yep.
a little bit more insight onto the reasoning for the patches and like the fact that you're listening. I think people really appreciate that."
Absolutely. Chef's kiss. With the lessons learned, we are learning from this system. We're working on building a more fleshed out but limited multi-class system for a future season
Very good to
that
hear.
will address the issues.
Love it.
Yep. I think that's absolutely huge.
I'm just gonna say that I disagree with the health change. I think the visual indicator or an audio indicator of damage done or how much health they have ruins the integrity of the mystery of when you should push or not push, and it really would absolutely destroy my surgical baits, which I think are amazing. The amount of times I've pulled out my surgical kit when I have literally full health and I start surging and they just come running and I'm like, all right, let's
I mean,
go.
if you could
Like,
still do
that's
that if
free.
you're
Yeah,
just
I feel like people would still fall for that. I really do.
you can still do that even if you're not low. If you surgical, someone hears a surgical from around the corner and they didn't even see
Right.
you, I'm gonna push that guy. That's a free
Sure,
kill.
but if it's a visual indicator, I'm like, if I'm below 30, they're definitely gonna fucking push, and I don't like that, especially if it's a different team or if I'm like come out of a fight, I'm in a doorway, and someone's like,
Yeah.
oh, that guy's less than 30. I better
I
just W key.
I think
Just
the
let a skeleton hit you a couple
simplest-
times and be less than 30. No problem.
I think the simplest solution is just an audio indicator when you hit somebody. And then it doesn't have to be this thing that gives away any extra like metagame information beyond that specific scenario, but it does provide more clarity so you can make more informed decisions while you're in combat. It takes away some of the like, yes, it does take away some of the mystery, but I think it also makes you feel like you're more in control of your own decisions, and it takes away some of the guessing game, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, like in Apex, when you crack someone's shield, you hear it, right? Like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know-
that sound fucking
Oh, that is a
gets me
great
hot
word.
and
Cracked.
bothered. Yeah,
He's
that's
cracked.
a good sound. You need one of
Yeah,
those.
dude, they literally had their own word for it. He's cracked because
Yeah.
that sound is just so identifiable.
That actually came from Fortnite.
All right,
Did it?
here we go.
Yeah.
But like, but
don't
think
even
about it,
watch
so bad.
Fortnite.
Think about it, dude. Yeah, wait, they add the audio cue so bad. Next thing you know, you could just start coughing into your mic behind a corner instead of hitting a surge kit. Get a soundboard, hit him with some serious baits. Think about it. Come on, we all know we've done that in
True.
Tarkov before.
Dude,
with the-
wait. You should get a soundboard that like makes the sound of like a skeleton moving
Mhm.
and then like doing a swing and the sound of it hitting somebody. It's
Oh,
like,
dude, holy shit!
and then just put your microphone on and play the sound through the microphone. So he's like, dude's got bobs on, and they turn the corner. It's just the whole team standing there ready to kill him.
Oh crap!
Hey, you can do
too many
that now.
ideas.
You see
Yeah,
this?
good.
You see the gears turning in his head right now. He's like,
He's like, this is a video for YouTube, actually.
Here we go.
I've just created the absolute calamity in the community at this point. My groceries are here, by the way. So just waiting for
All
that
right.
person to knock on my door and take my ID for my beer.
you?
So I'm gonna step out of the conversation for a moment while you guys do that.
You are good.
And where we were at, we talked a little bit about the curves. We didn't talk about there's this whole thing, arcane fighter down to warlock as far as the skill.
Yeah.
If you guys want to pick up there.
Yeah, we'll kick it off with fighter. Fighter's victory strike is now limited to all melee and ranged physical attacks and bladed thrown items. So this one was kind of confusing. Limited to all melee and range physical and bladed thrown items. So that means ranged spell is the only thing that is not included in
And
victory
torch.
strike, right?
Probably torch.
And torch. Okay. Bladed thrown items. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of the descriptions
get-
are like that.
Yeah, I guess it would have been easier to say victory strike does not apply to torches or spells.
Okay.
that the way that you guys understand it?
Wait, was that happening before? Did I know about it? I could victory strike on spells.
Your guess is as good as mine. I have
I mean,
no
if you
idea.
could poison the spells, I'm sure you could victory strike them.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yep. Moving
I missed
on,
that
we
one.
got Barbarian's Reckless Attack now only works with melee physical attacks. W change for sure.
I hate
Achilles
Reckless
Strike.
Attack. Sorry,
That's
just like
insane.
rant. It's like
No,
the amount
go,
of in one
please.
shot into full gear with reckless attack is just
Yeah.
infuriating. They gotta
Yep.
like do something about that. They gotta tone it down just a little bit. So bad. You're probably one of the abusers, so I don't
No,
know.
I feel like the weak side of that is so strong that I actually stopped using reckless and rage because losing all my armor and PDR just meant if I missed or if they hit me first, it's pretty much GG.
Yeah,
But
it's high risk,
I
high
like
reward
that
for
there's
sure.
that yeah, like I like that there's the counter of it and the high risk, high rewardness of it. Especially because you're talking about how everybody has like really high MDR and PDR right now. It's cool to see things like that. Or like armor pen stacking.
I'm not against. I'm saying I think the numbers are a little too high. I think like if I come in with a very expensive gear set of plate, I shouldn't be able to get one shot because you are naked with a Zwei. I think that's pretty reasonable. I just think the numbers have to be done. I think if we had a damage cap, that would fix the problem too. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would definitely fix
agreed.
the
it could
problem.
just be a separate issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, continue.
Achilles, same deal. No, you're good, man. Achilles limited to melee, ranged, physical, and bladed thrown items. So again, Achilles not on spells, not on torches or drums. Somebody in the chat, Rip, thank you. Pointed out
I
here.
died.
No
I died to
drums.
Achilles drums the other day. Oh man, I had flashbacks to a few months ago where
Yeah.
Achilles barbarians. It felt bad.
Yes, and
It
crush.
felt bad. But
Yep.
yeah, that's a good change.
So the one we already mentioned, the big one, the biggest, in my opinion, Rogue's Ambush, weak point attack, now only works on melee physical. W. Poison weapons.
Yeah.
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Sorry. No. I was like, what did it work? I worked on spells before too. Did I miss out on all this cool rogue shit that I just didn't get to take abuse?
I
Take
don't know
advantage
if
of.
it worked on spells. Maybe.
I don't know. Oh, here's a big one coming up too. Ooh.
Yeah, poison weapons, rupture, cutthroat are now limited to all melee and ranged physical attacks and bladed thrown items. So again, no spells, no torches, no drums.
Yeah, poison's now usable on the bow. It wasn't previously, so like now a
Mhm.
lot of these ranger builds are rocking poison weapon. I was just playing with RF, and he's
Yeah, I like that.
playing Demon Lock. He's like playing a full plate fighter with a recurve poison weapon stacking magic damage. It's like actually a really cool build, super cool. And I can only imagine how good it's gonna be when you get a pestilence.
Ooh.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah. That being said, it sucks to get shot by it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think you should have different enchantments you can put on arrows, but I don't know that it should come from a perk. That seems really overpowered. I think there should be a higher cost. That's probably a debatable point, but like the idea of having fire arrows and ice arrows and poison arrows, like that's really cool, but I think it should be not spammable, let's say. Next
That's
on the
fair.
list, some cleric buffs for the faithful. The faithfulness perk now slows targets hit by divine attacks. I tried to test this out with divine strike earlier, but I did not notice any significant change. Has anybody else
This is
tested
crazy.
this?
Well, I haven't tested it with Divine Strike, but this buff in general is just crazy good. Like my judgments are slowing people for like 50%. I'm exaggerating,
Woo.
but it's a lot. Like I had somebody with a judge and they are standing still. This is crazy with Holy Strike. This is good to fend off buff ball because now they are slower in your earthquake. This is really strong.
Wait. Is earthquake considered divine magic?
Is it? I think it
I don't think
is.
so.
Is it not? If, maybe they just felt slow, but it felt like it was working when I was hitting somebody with it.
Wow.
Doesn't that mean if
okay.
you use divine weapon on somebody that will also slow? Or if
That's
you
what
use
we
it
were
on
talking
yourself?
about.
Yeah, that was the first thing I tested. I wanted to bring Holy Strike in to test that as well because I do feel like that makes that spell desirable again when I mean it was always good because we only had that option. Now that I have Chain Lightning and Zap and Lightning Strike and all these other things, it's like Holy Strike has not been touched in a long time. But this puts it back on the list for sure. But yeah, if Divine actually slows people on weapon hits now when that's active, that would be incredible.
Yeah,
There's a
new
bug
one.
though. There's a bug with the faithfulness, right? So, for instance, if you're the cleric that has faithfulness and you get hit by something holy, it'll slow you. It'll like apply the slow onto you. So, like say Jay was running it earlier, faithfulness, and I would just judge him. I didn't have faithfulness, but he would get hit with the faithfulness slow debuff. So like there's like a bug where it's like working backwards. If you have it and you hit by holy magic, you get slowed as well. So that's something Iron Mace has to address.
Oof.
But yeah, it's
Oh,
obviously
bueno.
an oversight.
Yeah. The other
But
cleric.
I think this is crazy. This is like a super strong like thing. I think wizards like I'm thinking about dropping fireball for Holy Strike at this point because just being able to slow somebody is such a strong thing.
Yes, agreed. The other cleric upgrade, well, not so much. Cleric Smite can now only be used in melee physical attacks and has an attribute bonus ratio of 50%. So, was it 100 before? Did Smite scale at 100% before?
I don't know about that one. That'd be crazy if it did though.
I don't feel like it did.
So Smite had, I think, a 70% ratio
That
before,
sounds more reasonable, yeah.
because I think if you did all add magic on everything, it would go from hitting 10s to 18s.
Mm-hmm.
That like not with or without your magic power bonus.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
I'm glad the ratio is back. I think it was kind of lame that they got rid of it. I think.
Wait, I think I'm confused. So they made Smite have flat damage, and now it's scaling up to 50% ARB.
Well,
Isn't that a big-
it always had a flat amount, right? It always had a flat amount, but then it
Right.
also scaled on top of it. But then they got rid of the scaling, slightly buffed the flat amount, but then people were up in arms because now you can't just build magic damage. It was kind of like a cool thing to be able to build magic damage. So they added the scaling ratio back, but now you can't use it on ranged weapons, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the main
basically it
concern
was a
was
massive Smite buff, and it's really going to help like quarterstaff and like ignite Smite builds and all that.
the first thing that I said when I saw that was, wow, all of these dual wield classes that are hitting like a truck are now going to hit even harder because they're just going to run Smite with Faithfulness. And now you're never going to be able to get away from them because they're just going to hit you with Smite and you're going to get slowed and you're going to fucking die.
I would almost like want Smite to only like work on blunt weapons like maces and hammers and staffs and like keep them away from the blades as like a flavor thing.
It would help to reduce some of the damage stacking because you'd be forced to take weapon mastery on most classes. Barb can still use it with club, but they're not very good at scaling magic damage. It would just be kind of extra for them, but also kind of like a free slow. Rogue is like crazy good with magic damage. Funny enough, because they can afford to kind of ignore their physical damage and buff up the magic damage as much as they can. They also have the option to go for, I've seen rogues do like Smite Ignite builds with as much add and stack damage as possible, and they just shred plate fighters and stuff.
And poison weapon, don't forget.
Magic.
Yeah,
so
they the triple
poison-
dip. Yeah.
Poison Smite, and then they stack magic damage.
So if you force them into taking, if they want Smite to be a really effective tool, if you force them into taking Weapon Master to run a Flaunch Mace or a Warhammer or whatever, then yeah, I think that could be a good step in the right direction.
Because I wasn't thinking about balance. I think it's like a flavor thing. It'd be kind of cool to have some more narrow perks or more narrow skills to force different things.
To be fair, also, Smite is actually like, depending on where you are, if you're in the dark, if you're not using a mace, it's actually fucking impossible to see with Smite on. If you have a bladed weapon, that shit is so bright, dude. It's so fucking bright. You can't see anything. It's like the cleric bubble when they put a protection on you. You're in the soap
that now.
bubble.
It's like you're in you're in soap. It's so weird.
You're in soap. I didn't remember that one.
I told
That's true,
I
though.
told Endboss not to cast it. I was like, don't cast that on me anymore. Like I can't see.
That's fucking funny, actually. But yeah, overall, I think it's a good change. I think Smite was underwhelming after the nerfs. I think, not even just underwhelming, but it made it uninteresting that you couldn't build around it. It was always cool to have the ability to build around the skill Smite, and then when they got rid of the scaling, it just kind of made it boring. And I think Iron Mace doesn't want boring, so this is
Here's
good.
another question about multiclassing, but not specifically about the multiclass part. Is how are we feeling about the class bases? There was some complaining about how cleric is like the worst base now, and it's not worth building off of cleric. But I actually disagree, and I think fighter is the worst base. I think you can take really good perks to make fighter actually insanely strong, but I feel like they're weaker as a core class than everybody else right now. And
I think it depends on what your goals are, because I've heard this argument before, but then I could always think of like where like it might be in your best interest to be a fighter main or a fighter base because you would save X, Y, and Z number of perks because you could already wear all the gear and wear all the good weapons, and then
that's true. They do have access to, they can wear plate innately, and they have access to like one of the highest varieties of gear pieces without any perks. So that is true.
And cleric,
I think
like
that about everybody, dude. Like, I want a lot of stuff on cleric. Like I just said, I went 0 for 13 on overheal, and I was like, well, why don't I just play my cleric and then I take warlock's torture mastery? Like then I already have advanced heal and overheal and like a bunch of other stuff. So for me, it's less about stats and it's more about what your goal is. Like what your dream class is. You should try to take the base. You know that it gives you the most, like Ken said, like the most free perk slots, basically, or free points.
I think now with daily mind wipes and pretty much everybody having 13 tokens. I mean, we didn't even talk about that, but they changed the token curve. So now that you get all 13 of your tokens at level 70 instead of the original proposed level 270, and they've doubled XP like 3 times now, reduced how much you actually need to level, retroactively granted people levels. I think most people have at least a handful of characters that are either at 13 tokens or they're at like 10 plus. So it feels pretty good.
I'm like
to
level
get
50 and I had 13 rolls, so like that felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely way better than it was.
Yeah, and now we still can grind for reward tokens, but it's not like, oh, I have to grind. Like, I only had 5 tokens. I really need 13 to feel powerful. So that they're doing a really good job balancing it, like really, really good job, and they're doing a good job listening. And I think that's always, always has been, and hopefully always will be one of Iron Mace's biggest strengths is listening. Like, they do a good job balancing all of the feedback and then slowly, because they used to just hammer everything. It was like iron hammer, but now it's like, here's something crazy. Now we will slowly like make it better and better, and then next wipe it will be like
Unless
perfect.
it's buff ball, but like that's
Yeah,
sorry.
but like overall,
Or
pretty
the
good,
falchion
right? Pretty
in
good.
general.
Well, the falchion got nerfed so many times. It's just still crazy strong. It's hard to believe where we come from.
Yeah.
Do you remember white base falchions doing like 45 damage?
40 and
Like,
43 base on a white
like,
falchion
what
is
the
And they had
ridiculous.
95% PDR, so they were unkillable and they were almost one-shotting with a white
It's funny. We were
falchion.
talking about this, and obviously this is gonna sound a little biased now, but I feel like it's fair coming from me because I was somebody who said I actually liked Dungeonborn a little bit back when everybody was hating on it.
and we all hate you for it. So
Dungeonborn
we're still hating
made
on it.
so many of the same mistakes that Dark and Darker made, which I find really funny when it's so obvious that they're copying Dark and Darker's homework. But when Dark and Darker had figured out, okay, 95% PDR fighter with a billion damage weapons not okay. We need to do something about this. Dungeonborn was like, what if we just do that anyway? What if we just put 99% PDR on a fighter and then let him spin in circles and kill everything within a 10-mile radius?
What if you can basically just one-shot somebody if you're in way better gear than they are, no matter what? The Dungeonborn again.
Yeah. It's definitely like reflecting on the mistakes that Dungeonborn made, reflecting on where we're at right now, and honestly how the game has not fallen apart entirely with multiclassing really does show how far Dark and Darker has come from its early access. I see so many comments about people that are like, the fucking game hasn't done anything. The game has barely changed since early access. They've done nothing. They've just took the money and ran. And it's like, dude, the new player experience alone right now, we didn't add a tutorial, but we made it so much better for new players. You got the Squire. When you sit down and rest, you get your health back, and it doesn't go away when you stand up. You get a free health pot and a bandage. Gear drops way more frequently and more. Do you remember when we used to run around in normals in the playtests and get excited to leave with a full inventory of gray garbage? It's like, dude, I got the BIS for next run. I can't run this though. I gotta stash this for my next. I gotta wait till I get a whole kit together. The game has just come such a long way. It's truly remarkable to look back at where we started. So I'm excited. I know that we've had our ups and downs with it so far, but I'm optimistic, and I think people that are just dooming on the game still can go kick rocks.
Like, people I doom too. Like if I do my fair share dooming, don't get me wrong. That being said, like if this IP was in the 95% of other game developers' hands, it would have already fucking been a dumpster fire. So like Iron Mace is
it would have been a Dungeonborn.
It would have been a Dungeonborn. It would have been a Greed and Greeter.
Greed and Greeter.
Yes, the classic.
That old piece of shit.
That old. What was Greed and Greeter?
Greed is good. One of those. Yeah, exactly.
Greed is good. Yeah.
Oh, what was?
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, it's gone exactly. All right, well, we covered all the patch notes. We talked a lot about multiclassing. I think now is the time of the podcast where we typically talk about our things that we want to see added. And I want to talk a little bit more about that gem, the skill gem thing that you're talking about, because I actually think that's a great idea. And I know they talked about it before, like gem gearing, or gearing, gemming gear. But then Nate was like, yeah, PoE skill gem stuff. And I'm like, wait, actually, that's kind of sick. What if you could have a completely just, what if the class master down the road is you hit level 2000 combined, and all of a sudden the only thing you have to do is just socket gems into a board to have your class. Your class goes away. It's just you get fighter base stats 15 across the board. Now you get to build your character.
Yeah, man, that's a crazy thing. Like, I'm the biggest Path of Exile fan. I think that's when people ask me what I think the best game of all time is, I always like say Darkfall Online, obviously, but no one knows that game. So I obviously refer to Path of Exile as like one of the greatest games ever made, and how they've just compounded content over time, and like they have the craziest skill system and gearing system and gem system, and when you brought up like skill gemming, that's just the first thing I thought of, because it's such a cool thing. And I definitely a way more basic version of that could probably work in Dark and Darker. Like, if you could just go to the marketplace, get skill gems, put them in gear, get those skills, and build your class that way. And then your class is like just tied to your gear. You die, you lose like your set. That class is gone. You build a new one. You know.
I almost feel like they could make a whole nother game mode based around that, and people would love the shit out of that.
That means that they probably shouldn't do this, because it'd be way more work than you'd probably get out of it.
Every time we have one of these conversations, we're like, dude, that could be like a whole nother way to play Dark and Darker. That would be so sick. What if we had 100,000 people playing Dark and Darker right now? We could just all play the way we want. Someday.
Someday.
Well,
But
what do we
yeah.
think?
What do I want, dude?
I think
I'm just-
it is the 25th of April, which means Druid in 15 minutes.
Tomorrow, baby.
God, I'm
Druid
so
in
glad you
15
brought that
minutes,
up.
dude.
I was thinking about that too. Like, we got like 6 days. Is this shit gonna
6
make
days.
it, boys?
Druid Tuesday. It's coming.
Yes. Tomorrow, 15.
Don't ask me, because I don't know, and I'm being completely honest on that one.
Like, I've been talking shit about like the Druid for a while, but like now that we have multiclassing, I'm like, dude, Druid could be kind of hype. If I can just get like a regrowth on my wizard, I would be so happy. Just give me some entangling roots, you know.
I already see the Discord posts, or the Reddit posts of the first day that Druid drops with the multiclassing system, where you motherfuckers play literally all day while the people like me are at work doing things, and we come home and you guys have 50 druids.
Muggles, you know.
You guys have level 50 druids, and you're multiclassing,
Yeah.
flying around, fucking stuck to the ceiling, doing chicken screams and
God,
lightning
it
bolts
sounds so
everywhere.
good. Flame
And we're
walk
just
rat.
like, fuck these guys, dude. Fucking the streamers, kill them. Fucking round them up and kill them, man. Yeah,
No, because you'll
it's
be
gonna
at work
fun.
and you'll go into the bathroom and you'll watch us for 5 minutes and be like, "Hey, Druid does look fun. I'm excited to go home and play that." So you're welcome, Odin.
No, I'll be at my computer doing like data administration work with you on my other monitor.
Just to like tap into that idea, if they do release like Druid mid-season, for instance, with multiclassing, do you think it would be a good idea for them to just give everybody a level 30 Druid off the rip?
Yes.
No, because
No.
you take away the experience of leveling the class, and like, I think it would be fun to actually have, because think about how fun it's going to be the day it releases, and there's, you know,
Could you
it's
imagine those
18
normal
druids and
games?
normals.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
18 druids and normals.
normals is gonna be so cool.
There's just fucking little rats running around.
Yeah,
The
and
room is
chickens
quiet.
and-
The room is quiet, and then suddenly it just turns into 18 bears. Like, you're in church and all the mobs are dead, and one door opens, you hear nothing, and you're just a rat hiding in your own little corner. One guy stands up, and then another dude pops up, and then another dude pops up, and another dude pops up, and before you know it, you've just got pumas and chickens and bears fucking flying around, scratch each other to death.
All right,
That'll be really fun.
All right, fine, dude. Give everybody a level 19 Druid. All right, level
Yeah.
15.
Just
Druid.
level it. What is it going to take you 5
Oh,
games? and a
I'm
couple
gonna
of
do it.
quests?
I don't mind doing it. I just like, I think of just Billy and Timmy, who they've already leveled up their 7 characters and they just want to play the game. And
Man,
now
fuck
Druid-
Billy and Timmy.
Well, oh yeah, true. They have to get to. Do you still have to be 30 to take from something?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's
And you
where
gotta
I
be
was coming
20 to go to
from, yeah.
HR. So that's
If
the
you-
other main factor, right?
If you've leveled a bunch of characters now and you've done the quests, I think it's reasonable to expect people to be able to get to level 30 in like 2 to 4 hours, which is fine because you get a chance to get exposed to the class.
Dude,
and
I
actually try a
wish
bunch of
I
stuff.
can get to level 30 in 2 to 4 hours. Maybe I
Do
just
the
suck.
quests.
You'll
Do
be
the
able-
quests.
Fuck, that's a good idea. Holy shit, never thought
Do
of that
the
one.
fucking quests. They give you so much XP
True,
now, dude.
honestly,
They
it's
do.
true.
They
They give you a
do.
lot. I got
But then
my
I
literally
can't bitch
double-
and complain if I do that. I can't. What?
Literally double the. I know you're literally like, hey, the smartest thing I ever did was not doing quests, and we're all like, are you sure about
Hey,
that?
I'm also confident you'll find something else to bitch and complain about.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Now, there's
Uh.
a hitbox between people's legs, right? Like if you shoot an arrow, it goes through there. So they've actually made the character models correctly. Does that mean if I turn into a rat, I can scurry between legs? Do
That's
we think
probably why
like
it's
if I
been
pull
taking them so long to
monsters
make the fucking class.
and I rat form between someone's legs, the monsters are just gonna hit them now, right? So that
Imagine the
will be a new
one
way to
guy that's been
grief.
making that shit, and how difficult it's been to figure out the rat
Yeah, the one
hitbox.
guy,
The one
the
guy.
druid guy.
Well, he's two guys now.
Two guys.
If I remember correctly. Yeah, it's two guys
Yeah.
since when we talked to Terry back on the Q&A a couple 2 months ago now. Jesus,
God,
feels like a
I
lifetime
can't
ago.
wait to
Wow.
just earthquake this dumb rat just running through to hit him with an earthquake. Just...
I want to
Amazing.
see a fireball. I want to see a fireball hit a rat. I wonder if your perks will work while you're in rat form, so you can use rat like a double jump while you're in rat
Dude,
form. Just double jump
yeah.
up on this shit.
You know,
Iron Will and
I can
anti-magic.
already see the clip of me mauling trying to zap this fucking rat, just like trying to hit the tiniest small box, like hitbox with the hit scan zap, just like freaking out, getting pissed.
I
Can't
bet
wait.
you rat will have reduced like resistances. I
I
bet you that's
agree.
how they balance
imagine
it.
it. I imagine
For
it.
sure.
They make
Wait,
it so
wait,
that
wait,
you're
wait.
like
Take Iron
minus
Will,
20%.
anti-magic, and
Bro,
PXP though.
what if
Immortal
they're
rats just getting
what if they're
fireballed.
giant? What if they're giant? What if they're like the size of demon dogs? Like they're just thick New York rats.
New York.
Dungeon
the
rats.
average
They look
pizza
like
rat.
the things in the what are those things called in the swamp in Princess Bride? What are those freaking things?
I know you're
called?
talking about. I don't
I
know.
know, yeah, I don't know what they're called. Or if
Pizza
anybody's,
rats.
Yeah, chinchillas. Yeah.
this is a big fucking stretch.
Roofs.
But if somebody in the chat has played Parasite Eve, the rats from Parasite Eve, that's what we should get. Little rats with triple forked tails that can fling fireballs at you.
That
So
sounds
my
great.
chat's also asking about size. The devs did confirm that they were planning to allow the rat to go under door frames, so it must be a small creature.
They said that
Under-
that's what they
Unless
were trying to
scrap
design
that,
it for.
yeah. Unless they scrap that or they change their minds, they
We
did
won't
say it could run
know.
under a door frame. They said bear could not fit through door and rat could go under door.
Yeah,
So
we won't know what we're
Yeah.
getting until we get it. To be completely
That's
honest,
crazy because the doors are like very close to the ground.
Right.
Mhm.
That's what I was thinking.
I can
baby,
think
baby rat.
you
Well-
actually like you couldn't see the door frame. Do you guys remember when they did the UE 5.3 update? It was a couple like a little bit before multiclassing, or maybe it was.
Hear me out, dude. Hear me out. Doggy doors. Thoughts?
Doggy doors. Only if they had a
Yes.
only if they had a prone, so you can lay down on the floor and crawl through them.
And you could just shoot people in the feet with your hand crossbow.
That's amazing. Doggy doors. I love that.
That one's free Iron Mace, by the way. Take that and run.
Recharge.
I can't believe no one's mentioned the penguin. Is no one looking forward to
I
belly
forgot
flopping
that-
penguins on the ice?
That feels like a
caverns?
fever
Like,
dream when they said there's going to be a
Oh.
penguin, man.
If it can slide, I'm in. If it can't slide, I don't care.
If it
Like, we
can't
need
belly
to
flop,
be able to
it's the
slide on
biggest-
ice map.
Somebody in my
please.
chat just said. Somebody in my chat just said magic lock on the doggy door.
It is.
Just magic
I
lock
want
while they're
penguin-
halfway through it, so they get stuck.
That sounds great. Holy. Penguin sliding sounds cool. Give me some like CS source, like surf physics. Let's get in there.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's what I'm talking
The
about.
Ice Abyss map that accidentally showed up in the PTR. You just get a bunch of penguins and they'll slide around the fucking map.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
I actually never
just-
played on that on PTR. Is there like a lot of?
That
Like
map is
ramps and-
sick.
it's
That
good.
map
Yeah.
is fucking
I
so
should probably go
cool.
play that.
Very
It's gonna be-
unfinished. Very unfinished.
Yeah.
But like, remember last time we were talking about map design and we are talking about how like it's kind of gets stale that all the maps that they're making are just
Everything's a square.
boxes next to each other.
Mm.
The new Ice Abyss map is nothing like that at all. It feels like
Right.
very open, very like
There wasn't even
unique.
boxes on the map.
yeah, very cool
Interesting.
in concept. Hopefully they run with it.
Okay, cool. Something to look forward to.
The ice dragon sitting in the middle. I'm sure you saw the ice dragon.
Yeah.
You probably saw some streamers chilling with the dragon, hanging out with the homie. There's a huge chasm around the ice dragon's platform that you can fall in and die. I tried baiting a team
Mm.
to do like the Dark Souls thing, like, hey, you gotta jump down here, you can get out of the map, and then we go this way. And like they were about to follow me until a wizard started fireballing me from the other side of the arena. I was pissed. But I'm thinking about it now, and like the dragon flies very clearly. He's gonna have some fucked up attack that's just gonna do like a wing flap that just buffets everybody off the platform and sends them into the abyss. Just bam, gone, all your gear, fuck you. Nobody even gets to loot you. But there's this ice wall all around the outside of the arena where people can stand. It constitutes the walls outside the gap. There's a bunch of bridges that go into the middle. So there's doors, bridges, gap, and then there's walls around the outside. and you can stand on the edges, and I bet you anything that you could shoot at the boss or players while you're there. I have a funny feeling that Iron Mace thought about that and will have the dragon fly around the arena and just knock people off of those walls, because otherwise you could probably just cheese it that way.
That sounds like
I'm really excited
sounds interesting, yeah.
for that map. It's going to be sick.
I already think Ice Cave is the best map, so if once the hell is in and it's like that good, I'm all in. Fuck trios. I'm becoming a duos, man. I'm already am slowly. I've been loving duos so much more than trios as of
Duos is
late.
great.
Duos
Duos
is
is
great,
good,
yeah.
man. It's you don't
Guys,
get
I'm gonna show you
overwhelmed.
something.
It's way fairer, I think.
Way more fair, yeah.
I saw Soapy was in here a little earlier. I'm just vamping right now while I pull this up.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up his profile, and
He said he liked the nameplates being gone.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Soapy likes the nameplates
Mhm.
being gone. Where is he? I'm trying to find Soapy on Dark and Darker's Reddit right now. So this is me vamping. He posted. I'm gonna do a screen share here real quick if you guys want to pull it up so your streams can see it. I think this is it. Yes. Okay. So does anybody remember what the original Dark and Darker Ruins map looked like?
Yeah, it's actually kind of sick. And Rogues ruined it.
So, oh, man, I don't know what the quality on this is going to look like. 720p, it's pretty rough, but I'm going to share it to you guys on Discord, and hopefully it's not terrible. I know if you can see it in chat, if you guys can see it too. Since we're on the topic of talking about maps, and we talked in a previous interview with Iron Mace that they were working on the map.
Yeah,
So Soapy was doing this little thing. Shout out to Soapy.
Oh, what the heck? Disconnected me. I'm back.
All right. But look at how different this module looks with a bridge. I was looking at this at work today. I was like, dude, holy shit. Why didn't we have this version of the map? Why didn't we test this version at some point? Because I distinctly remember when I first played this map for the back in the playtest, I was still dog shit at the game. I had no idea what was going on.
Well, just look at this. Look at it. Like this looks
it-
awesome. It looks sweet. But now imagine Rogues on it, and then all of a
Right.
sudden it's the worst thing ever.
But so I was shit at the game back then, and I didn't care about any of that. I was just like, oh, double jumping rogues are kind of annoying, but the map's really cool. And I remember dropping in on it and being like so mystified by the fact that they added all this elevation and all these different ways you could explore. There's like this whole upper area, and you had to find the static to even get out of the map half of the time. I hope that if they do, since we're talking about maps, I hope if they do bring back Ruins, they lean more into this verticality, but do it in an intelligent way that doesn't just make rogues run everybody over, because I think that could be a pretty serious problem with it.
Not for sure.
Rogues, rangers, any class. Well, I mean, now with multiclassing, everybody could just sit up there and abuse range. But I think if they do it in a way where you're not just sitting up there with ranged, it could be really interesting. It's a cool map. All right. Nobody said anything for like 5 seconds right there. We got a little dead air, which means it's time for Q&A.
I my stream.
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out a way to show that. Can you drop that link in the chat? Because on the final product here, the YouTube video, I was not able to get a scene set to capture.
Fix it in post. Fix it in
Fix
post.
it in post.
Fix it in post.
No shot, man.
Snip it
There's
and
not going to
clip
be
it.
a download and re-upload of this one. These just stay.
No shot. He
unedited.
said, I'm not putting in any goddamn effort. You're fucking out of your mind.
Not for the pod. The
Not for
pod
the
is
pod.
live. It needs to be pure. No, not
Fuck
because
it,
I'm
we'll
not
do it
willing to do
live.
the effort. It needs to be pure. But yeah, we'll find a link for you guys.
I'll drop the link in chat there. But let's go ahead and get to Q&A. Keep in mind, guys, I said this at the top, but I will say this again. This is my final podcast, not just as a community member, but also probably for the foreseeable future. I may come back on as an Iron Mace employee to talk about it, but I'm not going to be able to give, like, you can't go, hey, Odin, what's going on over at Iron Mace? When's Druid coming out? You already heard everything from me that I know or that I can't talk about. So you guys ask questions for the Iron Mace stuff, I'm not going to be able to answer them.
Why don't
So
you learn
don't even bother.
Korean and then you can translate for SDF?
So I actually asked. So here's the thing: SDF actually speaks pretty good English.
Mhm.
I know that reading and writing a language is significantly more difficult than speaking a language. So I think having to use a translator probably makes it a little harder to get his point across. Like I said before, when I sent him a message this morning, I was like, you did a really good job with the patch notes, explaining in detail where your thoughts are at with the patch and what the team is looking to accomplish with this patch. But when I first talked to SDF a couple weeks ago about joining the team, I said to him like, "Hey, I've actually been thinking about learning either Japanese or Korean because I want to visit both countries." And he was like, "Nope, don't do it. I've spent years learning English, and I just want to talk to you guys in English. Don't bother with it." And I was like, "Okay,
All right.
Fair enough.
fair enough. Saves me the effort, I guess."
All right. So while we wait for some chat questions, maybe just double back to the Druid stuff. What are like if Druid comes out next week, which obviously is never going to happen, but like if it does, like what are some of the things that we would like to see? Like what do we want from Druid? Maybe just go down the line. Maybe starting with Odin.
I mean, they've already listed a couple forms that I really like. I memed about like a bingo that I made months and months ago, back in like September or October, when we thought we were initially huffing the copium, thinking we were going to get Druid back then. About like having a werewolf form, and I almost feel like having a werewolf form for Druid is like a mandatory thing. But as a WoW player, I would like to just see like a functional cat form that has like roguelike mechanics. Not roguelike like the game type roguelike, but rogues like a class. Just because I love those archetypes and I think they're really well done. If I had a choice, I would just straight up rip the Druid from WoW because that class is just incredible in every
it's a nice
way.
class. Oh, one of the coolest classes for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a paladin main till the day I die, but Druid is such a sick class. They're so fun to play.
Yeah, I played.
I would just, I want the laser, give me the fucking laser chicken. I want to shoot beams at people from on top of the ruins towers. I just want to call down stars and fuck up everybody's day.
I kind of want I want cleric to not be the only class with revive. I want other classes to have revive. I think rebirth on Druid would fit fine. They can make it unique in some way. Maybe in WoW, it's like something you could do in the middle of battle. Maybe they could try to have a battle res type of thing in Druid in Dark and Darker. I'm not sure if that'd be busted, but I definitely know it would be cool. That's like the one spell I'm looking forward to. I think Thorns should be cool as well.
Yep.
Or Entangling Roots, but that's where I'll leave it for me. What do you feel?
Wild growth to
Yeah,
block a door.
yes, sir.
Yep. I'm combing through the list of D&D cantrips and spells first through 9th level. The 9th level list is very short, but the last spell listed for Druid is called True Resurrection. So that is, to Ken's point, something they could draw on. But some of the cantrips are really cool. Like, I want to see more non-damage based things in the game in general. I think we all agree on that. Like, just cool utility stuff. They've got a cantrip called Create Bonfire. Like, what if they could just create campfires? They had 4 charges of campfire that you could take
but
for
then
free.
we're gonna make campfire mastery irrelevant.
Dude, am I the only one that thinks campfire mastery should just be an implicit ranger thing?
Yeah,
It should. Yes.
It
it
was.
should.
It used to be. It used to be a thing that rangers just did, and then they took it away from them. But I think honestly, if that's one thing I would do with multiclassing to further improve upon the base kits, is to give them each something that makes them appealing. Like bake in the weapon master thing to fighter, just make that like an inbuilt thing. Bake in robust, or maybe bake in iron will to barbarian, since it's kind of like a staple for their class anyway, and you're basically forced to run it if you want to play it. Give ranger campfire mastery. I know it's not that exciting, but they could make the campfire last longer and place faster, and maybe they can get a free one from Squire every run. There's just cool little things that I think they could do to improve the base
like
kits for
campfire
classes.
mastery would be. It's like actually a very strong thing. It's just like not worth taking a perk slot for it. Like
Right.
if you could just put down a fire super fast and it's a improved fire, that is like super good for trios for like the third party situation. There's so many times where I'm like, if I just had 5 more seconds at this campfire before this third party came in,
It's true.
it would be a different. It would be a different fight.
Yep.
It's true.
100%.
I think if the campfire healed for a little bit more, it would probably be more generally useful. I think the situation that you're describing is applies more to when you have a spellcaster with charges in your party. Obviously, for like base kit warlock, that doesn't really apply, but for cleric and wizard, It's such a powerful pairing. But maybe that's not a bad thing, is to have the bonus spell recovery party an attractive perk to help class pairings kind of work a little better.
Yeah,
I
for
don't know.
sure. I kind of like the idea of like having baked in things for classes to kind of give some semblance of class identity and like more reasons to have a certain class as a base type. For as of right now, it's like very limited on like what class should be your base. Like, oh, pick the class with the most stats. I'll just play the barbarian as my
Yeah,
base.
maybe
now.
instead of having to worry about losing class identity because of multiclassing, you just strengthen the core identity of each class so that when you use them as a base for your multiclassing, it feels very meaningful. Instead of just being like, oh, I picked cleric and I bricked him, but now I can just go to warlock and try to roll the cleric stuff and do it vice versa. You have like wizard, cleric, and warlock just trying to pick from
Right.
each other, and you just take whichever class got the best rolls that week.
Yep.
Not for sure.
Well,
Are Ranger
I'm
traps
excited
like
for
exclusive?
Druid.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think Ranger traps are exclusive unless Weapon Master gives you access
are.
to them.
They are.
But definitely more things like that, like you're saying, you give it Campfire Master as well. If each class had like 2 or 3 things that are just inherently better for them, that would help with class identity a lot. But just going back to Druid, I'm excited for the gear. Getting a brand new class will give us
Yes.
access to, and you can already see it in the auction house, like the Dark Grove.
Yeah, it's been a
And
while.
yeah, like there's going to be a lot of just cool new things. And then, if it's like demon grips and demon clads or whatever, like it'll be exclusive to like maybe 2 or 3 classes. And so that'll be fun just to see just something new and exciting in the dungeon. Plus, I feel like no matter how unfinished Druid is, even if it's just literal on its own, just dog shit, the fact that you can pull, if Druid transformations are spells, the fact that a bunch of classes will just pull from that, and then you just throw a fireball, turn into a rat,
almost
go like
sounds
8 feet, and then
problematic now
throw
that I
another
think about it.
fireball. Like that is gonna be so cool.
I feel
That
like
part alone
they
I'm
might be
jazzed
skills. I
for.
feel like they're probably going to be skills. Like you have to choose of what kind of form you want.
I think that's more likely, yeah. Especially if they're
I
going to
hope
be as
not.
powerful as they make them sound.
They sound individually shitty, but
Well,
like if
rat
you had
form sounds
access to like
individually
5,
shitty.
so does
Ra-
like chicken. Like what 2 abilities can make chicken strong? You know what I'm saying? It's like
Just
if
being able to fly for a short period of time. Imagine in church, right? You can just
Sure.
fly up from the bottom floor up to the top.
right.
That alone is so fucking strong.
I don't think they're
Now,
flying
obviously,
that
you can
high.
do that with the.
Yeah, but not if it's a
yeah.
skill. Like that's cool. But if it's a spell and you just go chicken and then you jump up there and then you unchicken and now you're like doing the next thing,
That's
I think
true.
that would
That's
be
true.
cool. And if
Yeah,
every
the
That,
skill
class
that,
could do
sounds, that
expression-
sounds way more powerful, but yeah.
yeah.
Right, the
Yeah,
skill
that
expression is
sounds
gonna be
problematic to
in
balance.
knowing which form to use when and being able to
Right.
go back and forth. As long as there are trade-offs for it, I think that is going to be the most ideal and fun way to play the class. So I'm with Josh.
Mm.
Like, it better be on the spell wheel. Whether or not
Mhm.
it will be considered under spell memory, I doubt it. I feel like it's going to be a bard related thing. It's going to be like
Oh, that's interesting.
animal, like, bard has music memory, so druid will have animal transformation as its spell wheel, basically. So
Animal
that's what I'm
affinity.
thinking. I could be very wrong on that, but I really do hope the same thing that Josh is saying. I want to have the ability to be a rat and then have some kind of trade-off where, like with demon form, there is 2.5 seconds that it takes once you activate it to actually become a demon. Like that time that you give up for that, going from rat to bear, and then as a bear you can't get out of the room because you can't go through doors, and then to a penguin, to a panther, like just going back and forth between the different forms is going to be the most fun part. If you're just limited to one that you're choosing as a skill per raid, I don't think that'll feel very good, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that.
Yeah.
So I've got a question, actually. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
No, go ahead.
Well, I got a question from Raising Eyebrows in chat, who asked, what if training included class-specific quests that could earn us more reward tokens and XP? Like, for example, a cleric could kill 5 players with sledgehammer, hammer, or warball. Or for ranger, use backstep 25 times in one session. Sounds an awful lot like a suggestion I made a while back. And Josh, you might remember this because I talked to you about this a lot. Originally, when we talked about multiclassing, one of the ideas that I'd proposed was to have instead of multiclassing, do subclassing. So the example that I always used was like, as a fighter, you could spec into like a Spartan build where you're using light armor, but you can use a buckler and a spear, and you're just very proficient with those weapons. Just like something that gives you more specific identity with your class, but you'd have to do things. A cleric tree that gives you demon slaying. You get all the way to the bottom of the tree, and then you get a quest to go kill 5 elite demon berserkers in HR. And after you do that, you unlock demon slaying, and that gives you the ability to do. And this would be like baked into your class. You just now can use holy magic against undead and demons. So it just gives you like a power up that isn't explicitly making your character more powerful, but just improves your character, and in some ways can change the way that you play. I hope that we see some kind of aspect of that with the way that multiclassing is going now. I don't know that will necessarily be the case, but this is really early version of it. So I could totally see a world where they tie some of the progression behind class specific quests. And I think that's a really easy win to make more of the maps more meaningful and just give you more things to do. But the only thing I don't want to see is have those things be extremely tedious and have them all locked behind all the perks and everything locked behind all these long quests. Because every time we get into a situation where you have to do a ton of stuff to unlock things, players don't want to do it because it feels like shit to do when everybody else is already ahead of you, and you don't want to do it again for a second or third class. So there's a little bit of a balance there. But what would you guys want to see if you were just like spitball class specific quests? Would you want to see like full quest chains for your classes, or do you think it should be a little bit more tame?
I always refer to WoW when we talk about stuff like this because I think some of the coolest, like my coolest moments in WoW, like WoW class specifically, are like the class specific quests, like doing my quest to go into Scarlet Mance with the water and stuff to get my paladin mount. That was awesome.
Fucking love that quest.
Dude, running around the barrens to unlock my water totem. Pain in the ass. I hated every second of it, but it was rewarding and it was cool because it was class specific, or like doing your level 10 hunter quest to get your first tame.
To get your pet. Oh my god, yes.
Those things
iconic.
Are super cool. Iconic, yeah. Then they're very powerful, fun moments. And I think if you just add little things like that that make class identity cool and worth doing, I think it could go a long way. I love your suggestion with the demon and the undead spells.
With you saying that, I just had the perfect one for Druid, which is go to the Frost map, and you have to, at the end of the map, at least 5 wolves have to be alive. And so now you just have to choose one of the wolf boxes and just protect them the whole match.
That's a good idea.
That would be a really cool class quest.
And then fucking Michael Vick kicks down the door and he's
slaying. Everyone just comes in there. Nobody gets wolf form. Not on their watch.
That's such a good idea. That's fun. But yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Same thing with demons. Good. You gotta, like slay every demon in Inferno in one match, and then like that match, you're just not bossing. Like you just go around the outside killing the berserkers. Stuff like that would be really cool.
Yeah, class specific quests would be cool, and that's coming from a guy who's like not doing quests this season. But yeah,
with the current system that we have in place, I feel like a class specific quest would make this less appealing, just because again you'd be grinding so much more. But what if instead of, so like we have the free token rewards and everybody's been getting, their various levels of rewards. Some people have been pulling artifacts. Most people like me have been pulling blues and pretty much nothing else.
Have you guys heard that luck works with that, by the way?
Yeah, I tried it. I did 20 pulls with like a full kit of luck and I didn't get shit. So
yeah, I'm building a luck set. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I built a luck set. I pulled 30. I got a unique. Like I can't really argue with the math. I feel like it's bullshit, but it could not be.
Heard.
If it is that way, I'm pretty sure it's unintended. But in either case, my findings as a very person, except for when I play my Ret Paladin in WoW, who literally wins every roll ever, my findings have been that it's bullshit. So what I would like to see instead is like you said, that quest where you would go and kill every demon in hell. Is what if there was like daily quests that you could get from vendors where they would tell you like go kill this amount of stuff in a single run, and you'll get like an upgraded reward token that has a guaranteed chance to drop at least a purple. Or if you did enough of them, it would be a guaranteed legendary. I think people would love something like that. And it's like, it adds something to do that you're looking forward to, that you could accomplish with a team that wouldn't hinder your team very much. I think the most important thing when designing something like this is to make it not too frictional to do as a solo or as a trio. So if we ever get like solo crypts, you'd be able to do it as solo crypts, or if you do it as a trio, everybody gets credit for it. Just design it in a way that it's fun to do, doesn't hinder your team, and gives you a reward for doing something very specific.
I also like the idea of I'm not sure how to word this, but the idea of a quest that rewards you more so based on like the proficiency of which you complete it. Like as an example, let's just say you have a quest to go down to hell and slay demons. And like if you go down there and you slay 20 demons, you're in a certain reward bracket. If you go down there and you slay 40 demons, you're now in another reward bracket that's higher. If you slay 100 demons, you're like at the highest reward bracket. And you go down there and you like it's like you have one chance at it. Like you get the quest. It's like group quest, demon vanquisher. Go down here, and if you fail, you fail. But if you like do it well, you get rewarded more so because of it. Like say, or it's like a quest where it's any number amount of experience that you farm this raid will be doubled. So like this raid, you guys are going down there and you are grinding, and you are just trying to get as much XP as possible to squeeze out as the greatest reward from the quest. I like quests like that. WoW has some certain quests like that. Black Desert had quests like that where it makes you want to perform well. And I think things like that.
Yeah,
could
anything
be cool.
anything that makes you want to do like I almost feel like we have like an untapped potential with this game where there could be like a speed run category for accomplishing certain things where like
you're trying to hop on Mario 64 right now. I am down.
Yeah, so there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of hidden potential, I think, with this game's PvE that could be tapped into with things that are like challenge quests to do certain things in a certain amount of time or as a certain class with a certain rarity or certain weapon, or there's a million ways to slice it. But I love the idea of just giving players more challenges because it gives them more exciting things to do. I think sometimes I'll tune into your stream in particular because you play with the top of the top players that are all sweaty tryhards.
But on your talking about me.
Oh yeah. Good point.
So when I watch Ken and he's playing with the top of the top players, and they've been dominating a lobby for the whole night, and they're just like, I'm just bored. When they don't get hacked on, I'm just bored. Just putzing around hell. If they actually had like this cool fucking like double boss challenge, you have to clear 3 rooms in Inferno, and then it's Ghost King Lich back to back, and if you win, everybody gets a unique. It's like, fuck yeah, I want to watch that. That'd be sick. Yeah. I want to tune into his stream at 11 o'clock at night to watch that. We also talked about So Bad and I. We were I forget it was either Katie or Boss, but we were playing and we were talking about like how cool it would be to get like a really rare drop from Lich or one of the bosses. You get like a dungeon token that just lets you and your party queue for a solo instance, and you're guaranteed to get nobody else in there, so you just get the free farm. Maybe it would have to have a restriction, like you can't get an artifact in that run, or it's like legendary below gear, but you're just free. For a fact that there's nobody else in that lobby.
And then you go into it and you die to the first Thanos you see.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's the lobby you're like, wait, we need to
die on your token.
Yeah.
That's the lobby you bring your best gear for.
Like that set that you just keep in like Stash Tab 6.
Your PvE set.
And it's like plus demon slaying, plus undead slaying, like all the things you're like, whoa, I can't wait to like PvE grind this time. Maybe.
On the bust up a Sterling Rod. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
And they could even have quests that's associated with that. Go ahead, Arcade.
No, that was it. That idea is great. Do it.
I think
let's see.
To go with what Odin was saying as well, is you could have contracts that you could buy and give to yourself in the next dungeon.
Contracts. I like where this is going already.
Like the Goblin or the Fortune Teller, or somebody sells you a contract for like 100 gold, and you choose what it is. Like if it's an undead slaying contract or like a demon slaying contract or whatever, and there's reward
like a bounty board thing.
Yeah, and so it just gives you something else to do. Or like Ken seems like, let's just they're just gonna take kill player or like kill boss or whatever. And then it doesn't even have to give that much, but it is something else to do while you're in there and to think about. And so I feel like that would be a good idea.
This game needs bounties.
I think bounties would be a great addition, and I don't think they would take that much effort to add.
If like there was just a bounty board and like So Bad could log into it and go into it and be like, I'm putting up a 500 gold bounty.
Yes.
Or Ken Kenobi's head.
Oh, you're talking about players being able to play
bounties. No, player bounties. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
That's a fucking incredible idea, but that could also be griefed really hard. But I like the idea.
Dude, I don't care. Put the bounties in my head. I don't care. Stream snipe me. I'm waiting. All right, just don't cheat.
He just wants, he wants his glory days on Ruins where he was wearing a full unkillable gold warlock kit with 20,000 magical healing and he can 12v1. Yeah, he just wants that back. He wants to live that moment again.
That was a good moment.
Yeah, we got some other suggestions in here, like quests might unlock a specific title that you'll get to display in the lobby, or maybe it'll show up in the leaderboards. Deliver a specific item to a place on the map, like you have to pick up a rune from somewhere else on the map and bring it somewhere else to unlock like a treasure pile room, but it's only on that map. So you like that'd be an interesting way to create traffic that players would want to intercept. Like maybe you have to go to for example, the what's the room called that has the two gates where you go down and it's a gold key door?
I know the way
Anybody know
you're
what
talking
that's
about. I
called?
don't know the name. I just
Oh,
call
yeah,
it
I
the
know what you're
golden key
talking
room.
about.
That's
Yeah.
gold key room.
Instead of a gold key room, you have to go to the shit corner spawn with the two bridges that lead out of it. You have to go over there and go all the way past the traps and deal with all the mobs to pick
That
up an
room
item.
used to be the best because it had ore in it. But
Right.
now it's useless. Sorry.
Imagine
Now
you go in
you-
there, you pick up an item, you
Yeah.
take it out, you run it all the way to that corner, and then you get to open a door and you get a treasure pile. That's like something you could do every map. Players would be wanting to try to intercept each other on that route all the time. That'd be
That's a good idea.
that's like a freebie right there.
An
like a-
underlying theme is like you want to create hotspots on the map. I think that's
Right.
like super important. Like
Which
right
is
now,
what we thought they
there
were
are
going to do with the royal chests originally, which they kind of did, but not really.
they kind of were because like you would because
They
the
were.
royal chest in pyramid, people like royal chest pyramid, we go pyramid every time, and you'd always get a fight in pyramid or
It's
any
true.
of the royal chest spawns. You would usually have fights around them. There was
But
too
what-
many of them though.
Yeah, what that always ended up doing though is like you have a room designed where both the ruins and the crypts had this royal chest room, this royal coffin room, where if you go for the royal coffin, instead of it being a thing where you're like dedicating time and risking getting intercepted by a savvy team, you're just risking putting yourself in a surefire death spot if another team rolls in. Because if you're down below against a competent team, they will either camp you out and just force you to die when you come out, or they have a comp that can push you down there and kill you. I don't necessarily like that. I think having a system where you're actually like creating traffic on the map is a more interesting way to
that
approach
is
it.
better. That is definitely for sure better. I think creating spots of traffic or traversed areas are definitely good, especially if you're like a grimy rogue player or a trap user. Sorry.
I mean, hey, look, if you know the routes and you're confident in where the players are going to be going, you're still potentially going to be able to set up those traps and those ambushes, and it makes them feel a little bit more meaningful than this guy was just happened to be here waiting for me.
Yeah, that's definitely a super cool idea. I like that a lot. Hotspots.
Hotspots, exactly.
Because like sometimes you get into a match and like you know there's players in it, and you just unluckily just can't find them, and then that always feels bad. Especially on it's more of a problem on Ice Abyss. But there are hotspots on that map. Like the gold pie is always a hotspot. The wolf rims are always a hotspot. The bow extracts and the elevator extracts are usually hotspots. I just think
the big goblin square or the
Yeah.
cobalt square with the Orlanthi in the middle of it.
these are rooms that like usually you can, if you play around them, you could usually find people in them, and that feels good. And there's
Pyramid,
like there's parts of the map that people just want to avoid, like the whole southern part of fucking Ice Caves, or because
South Central, dude. That map is the
Yep.
most beautiful place on planet Earth if you're a cleric. You just go there and round up all of your friends, and if a team tries to fuck with you, just go, all right, there you go. Here's you killed me. Here's 900 skeletons. Have fun. Usually when I see that person conga lining all those, I'm like, he's fine. Either he's gonna die or he's not my problem. He's occupied for the rest of the match.
For sure. All right, any other questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah,
The
chat. What
cues
do you
in
got?
chat? We'll give it. We'll let it sit here for a minute to let people type their questions, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about them. But yeah, looking
we
forward
talked about-
to. But
No. You go ahead. This is
I'm
your
just-
send off.
I'm just looking forward to whether or not we get Druid next week. It's
Same.
either way, it's going to be a shit show. If we get it, it's going to be a shit show. If we don't get it, it's going to be a shit show.
I like somebody in my chat mentioned that in Dungeons and Dragons they have like the amount of times they could wild shape, so you could actually do something like that where you have like 3 wild shape charges on your Q or E, and then when you hold it, you choose like one of 5 forms that you select, and then during the match you could be like 3 different things if you wanted, or the same thing 3 times, and then that would be more useful.
Yeah.
Like a whole wheel
Yeah, like you have-
dedicated to shapeshift, but
Mhm.
but all the shapeshifts pull from the same resource pool. Is that like kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. So like you have Q and it has
The
like a 3 on
charges.
it, Yeah, or like let's just say you have like 8 charges, or it's based on like animal capacity or like wild
Mm.
shape memory. Now that's like an affix on gear.
But like
Whatever the case is.
bear will take 2 charges and rat will take
Yeah,
1 as an
right,
example.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can campfire and you can get those back or whatever, and that way you can do like bear form a fight. They get out of the room, like you can't chase. Okay, one of your charges is gone. Now
That's actually
etc.
kind of
Oh,
that's kind
That
of
could be
interesting,
cool.
actually. Yeah.
Speaking of spell charges, I thought of another idea just now for a way that you could make another class implicit. Wizard recharges spell charges that are used to kill mobs. I heard this on Spud's. I happened to just tune into Spud's stream randomly, and somebody suggested that I think in a stream. I think another cool implicit for a class would be if you have your wizard as your base. If you use a spell to kill a mob, it recharges that spell. Let's say you use a magic
Yes.
missile on a
I've been
skeleton.
saying that for so long.
It
Yep.
should just recharge the spell. I don't know that having we went through the clarity meta where everybody was just recharging spells on the go, and that shit sucked. It was just impossible to count spells. You had no idea if you were ever safe to push the wizard. They were also doing
No,
giga damage.
I
at that time.
100%
Now
agree.
we're-
Clarity meta was awesome. It was the best thing ever. I loved casting.
right,
Now
so
we're
if
back
you
to
were-
that, dude. Now you can't count spells or know what they're capable
No,
of.
I agree. It was very bad. It was very bad. It was very bad.
But yeah, I think that would be a cool implicit, and I don't think it would be overpowered in any way. You could definitely
Yeah.
use it to clear PvE. Wizards would no longer have to out themselves by doing. No, wizards would no longer be shit in the sense that they have to either do melee slower than every other class in the game to clear their module, or make a shit ton of noise and use up their spell charges to clear their module faster. I think if they want to do that, you're advertising to the nearby modules that you're there because you're making so much noise with your spells. Holy shit, my chair just snapped into position. That was cool. So you should, I think, be rewarded if you're doing that. You're spending spells. If you're killing efficiently, you should get spell charges back. That'd be a cool implicit for wizard.
So
Yeah,
that-
I think that'd be great.
Is awesome, but it only works for damage dealing spells. Let me make the argument from a cleric perspective, because often I find
It's wizard.
myself
It's
saving,
cleric only. It's wizard implicit only.
Yeah.
So if you play wizard as your base
think
class,
I think it's a bigger discussion than just wizard, though. Like divine strike, bless, these other any buff
You could-
or
you could
CC
use-
related spell. I think
you
you
could
could
say that
also
while
address
those are
the
up.
issue. Well, okay, fair-ish.
so if you're using wizard
I
as
like-
your base and you get cleric spells and you use them and you kill a mob while they're up, they refresh.
Well, what
Or
about
maybe it just
passive
maybe it
regen,
refreshes their
though?
divination or something.
That sounds really broken though. What if you use holy light and your juice and you just one shot everything?
I don't think heals should be able to recover, because heals are too powerful, especially given the fact that they're accessible to other classes and wizard uses them really well. I don't think
Right.
they should recover with the wizard implicit.
I
think
agree.
it should
But
only be offensive spells.
I don't want to overbalance anything for that makes it bad for PvP, but if you have passive regen, I think that maybe globally solves the problem as well. So if I'm out of combat, if I haven't cast a spell in 10 seconds and I'm walking around the room looting after we've cleared it, and passive regen is like 1/4 the rate that it would be while I'm sitting. I haven't cast a spell, I haven't swung a weapon.
I think if it was
Is
really
there,
slow, it would be fine.
Yeah.
I think if
Yeah,
it,
no,
if
I'm
it
not
was so
proposing-
slow that it wouldn't impact combat, that would be fine. I don't think anyone would
Exactly.
care.
You have to balance it so that it's not a factor in combat whatsoever. And I think
Yeah, I'd
if
be
you
for
put
that.
something like 10 seconds on it, like how many group fights are you going to be in where you've got a 10-second gap where you're not at least casting or swinging your weapon?
Or using a consumable or heal or anything. Like all that should be included.
Yeah, I think you could probably
Fair
make
enough.
it to where if you haven't dealt or received damage for the last like X amount of seconds, you start slowly regenerating. I think
Yeah.
that'd be fine.
Right.
Because then meditate's still useful because you can use it like instantly.
Yep.
I think meditate even people will take meditate just because it's convenient, but I feel like meditate is just the worst
It's
thing
awful.
in the game.
And
It's just
sitting to
terrible.
regen spells, like as a cleric, putting down a campfire. I mean, the resourcefulness buff, I know like Emboss is definitely on the other side of this argument. Like he did not like having will taken away for resourcefulness. I love it. Like doors open faster, looting's faster. It just feels better all around. Putting down campfire still sucks. and you can only bring so many in, especially if you go HR. Now you get penalized for bringing them in because they count towards your score.
I haven't even talked
So
about that. Yeah, I hate that shit. That's so
it's
annoying.
like,
Yeah,
address
gear
the
score.
issue
We
for
should talk
spell.
about that actually.
Address the issue for spellcasters, because right now it's mainly wizards and clerics that have to deal with it. Warlocks don't have the issue. Bards don't have the issue. They get unlimited spells, both of them. Warlock or wizards and clerics are screwed. But somewhere down the line is going to be artificers or sorcerers. There are going to be other classes that have to deal with this. And passive regen, well, now with multiclassing, it's actually everyone. Passive regen would be huge. And you can have it scale based off of whatever your current spell, what is it? Spell recovery. What's the metric? Is it spell recovery or spell regen? Whatever
Yeah,
it is.
spell recovery rate.
Recovery rate. And that is that just based off knowledge, or is that will and knowledge? I
think
don't
it's
know. I
just
guess
knowledge, right?
besides the point.
Knowledge, yeah.
Sure. Your passive regen could maybe slightly scale off that. But yeah, make it so it's an absolute non-factor in PvP, but also make it so that you don't have, Spuddy making videos every other week of the peak wizard gameplay where he's just sitting down staring at nothing.
We get it, Spuddy. You don't want to play wizard. Just play a different class. It's okay.
No.
As a guy who plays wizard, sitting down does suck. And now that I play spell overload, I need 2 campfires to get all my spells back. So I'm there for like 45 seconds.
Yeah,
Bro,
it's
you guys
awful.
got to be on the ground
Awful.
for 45 seconds, all right?
Oh,
Fucking deal with it. You're the strongest class in the game. All right?
No,
Everybody
capacity.
wants
Not even
fireball.
close.
I am the
Oh
strongest
my
class
God.
in
Not
the
even
game.
close.
Of course you are. You
I
always
can't
play the
even.
highest skill
I
cap.
can't even kill the class that I'm supposed to be the hard counter for in 15 spells.
If you couldn't kill him with 10 direct hits and spells and 3 headshots from Crystal Sword, it's a you thing. All right. There's no way you hit him with 10 spells and headshot him with the Crystal Sword.
I think that would be the
Clip.
opposite of a me
Clip
thing.
now.
It's my fault. I will go get it.
Go get it.
It was
There's
disgusting.
no way you hit this man with 10 direct hit spells and 3 Crystal Sword headshots. No one survives that.
I did.
Clip it. Clip it and ship
All right, all right, bro.
All right. The whole pod is going to review this clip.
That's crazy.
We'll have a supplemental up on the Arcane's YouTube too.
Even if you had 75, you're still doing 25% of times 10 spells and 3
But
Crystal
you
Horses.
understand.
No
You
one
understand.
survives
You
this.
understand. Anti-magic goes beyond cap. He could have been 100% for all I know. He could have been full HP.
Magic goes beyond cap.
It goes beyond cap.
What?
I'm telling you. It goes above cap.
You can be immune to magic damage. That's
You're saying
pretty
he's
funny.
taking it wouldn't be immune, so you're saying he takes 25% less of the 25% he's taking?
Sure.
Yeah, it's
whatever it is.
PoE math. So
Okay.
it's
It doesn't really sound like that much though.
75% by
He's taking some
25%.
damage,
It's still
dude.
a lot. No,
It's all
I
right.
mean,
No, it's all right. I'm only the hard counter to his class. I'm only the hard counter. My bad. I'm only the hard
You
counter.
used to be. Now the hard counter is reckless.
yeah. So now when he's just tanking 900 of your magic missiles, you have to pull out your longsword and parry him to death.
All I'm saying is I used all 8 of my zaps. I used all 6 of my fireballs, and I used 6 out of 8 of my ace bolts, and I hit him with my crystals, and I judged him. I fucking judged him twice. Ah!
He was
Sorry,
judged and found worthy. I don't know what to tell you, dude. It was him. I don't know what to tell you, man. He got away.
I even used judgment to get through
Is
it.
he second wind? Is he potion chugging?
Yes, I don't know.
What's
bro.
happening here?
He could have been cheating for all I know. Maybe he was.
He could have been cheating.
I want to see this clip. This sounds awesome.
It does sounds really fucking dumb. I want to see it
Well,
myself.
this guy's filled if he can shrug off 10 spells, 2 judgments, and 3 Crystal Sword
I
heads.
would push every door with impunity. Dude.
It's not even this crazy in that build. You just put on a dark plate and some dark leather pants with anti-magic and iron will, and you just walk in a straight line. It's not rocket science. It's not unknown.
I gotta see this for
Did he
myself.
kill you at the end, or did he just leave?
No, he walked away. I hit him 15 times. He hit me
What
once.
a
I was
Chad,
at
dude.
10%.
He just
It
left.
sounds like a good fight. Everyone
He walked-
lived. He's living rent free in your head now.
His teammates didn't live. His teammates didn't live.
Oh, God.
Who cares
all
about
I'm
your
saying.
teammates? Better player lives.
The better player survived, which in this case was both of you.
Hey, one question from the chat
Oh.
over here that is related somewhat to Druid. Now that they've figured out how to, and then we've got Demon Forum, Druid's coming soon. What do you think about Wizard polymorph, and especially polymorph into inanimate objects like
Awful idea.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Yes.
Awful idea.
So
Nope.
good.
Do not take away player agency to that degree. That's fucked up.
Yeah, RCC
If you're
is
talking
a
about
thing.
transforming into a
themselves.
box, then
Yeah.
for sure. Transfiguration, yeah. Why
yes, yeah.
not? Why not? Fuck it, let him.
Yeah.
If I see a box in a weird spot, we're playing prop hunt, go for it. That's fun. I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
I love me some prop hunt.
Yeah, the mimic potion from Dungeonborn was really, really cool.
I did like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we shit on Dungeonborn. I liked it. It had some okay ideas. It didn't capture the magic of Dark and Darker. But it's okay for us to steal the good shit that they did come up with.
100%.
But yeah, I thought the mimic chest or the mimic potion was a good idea. I liked the
And the wall
utility
potion,
potions.
the
Yeah,
wall potion was sick. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the game.
just give everybody Sage Ice Wall from Valorant, but it's in it's just a potion that you throw.
Yeah.
I think it was a little overtuned, to be honest. They had the same problem that Dark and Darker used to have, which was that you could just equip them instantly. So if you carried a full inventory of them, you're just fucking franny swapping endlessly.
For those that didn't play, you could throw a potion, and when it hit the ground, it became 4 like 9-foot high, like 8-foot thick wall sections, and so you could just literally wall off like a whole corridor.
Yeah,
and then
if
get
there's a
away.
doorway, you just
Or
throw the door.
reset.
You're just gone. It's over.
Or you could split teams, and then you kill the one while the other two are breaking through the wall, and like that was really cool.
Dungeon Board did a couple of things okay, I guess.
And the broken clock is right twice a day.
True and real.
Indeed.
All right, I think we wrap it up there, boys.
I think we're good. I'm getting a little sleepy here, and my eyes are getting a little dry.
Let's quickly for like 2 minutes for those that are in the know. Did Escape from Tarkov and the Battlestate game devs fuck up really bad with this recent edition of their game?
I don't even play the game, and I know
Yeah.
they fucked it up.
Yeah. So hopefully a little influx to Dark and Darker maybe this weekend. Maybe get a little sale
Could
going.
be.
Tell your Tarkov friends that they should play the better Tarkov.
Yeah.
Dark
we
and
don't have
Darkov.
nameplates here. We're back.
So maybe Dark and Darker should do a sale for their game for 250 cents instead of $250 to make fun of Tarkov.
Maybe $25 so that they're not taking a massive profit loss.
Right.
What was that? What was their edition called? The Unseen.
All right, 2,500 cents. My bad. Okay.
Oh, it was the Unheard edition. So Dark and Darker can do a parody version that's like way cheaper and gives nothing, called like the Unseen.
Sure. So it'd be funny for them to do some kind of like marketing strat to make fun of Tarkov, because Tarkov dropped the ball so hard with
God damn.
like if you told me, if you were like a time traveler from the future and you told me that Tarkov was going to do this, I would not believe you. Like, it's crazy that they did this, that they are charging $250 for quote unquote actually some pay to win features for a game that you've already paid $200 for. Like, to play Tarkov now, you had to be in $500. That's crazy. That's like some quadruple A shit. I have no idea. I have no words. Fuck you, Nikita. I don't even play Tarkov anymore. I'm sorry.
No, me either. I just thought it's crazy to wake up and see that, and then also to see us getting the no nameplate patch. I was like, a little bit of correlation going on here.
I booted up Tarkov when I bought it. I think it was 2017, 2018. Still relatively new. Bought it, booted it up, ran like absolute dog shit on my computer. I had a 1060 and like a i7 920. That thing was a beast for its time, but it was definitely showing its age. It could run everything else I threw at it just fine, except for Tarkov. It ran like absolute shit. Took forever to load in. It looked like garbage. Walked into a factory, had a guy that looked like a pile of trash shoot at me twice and kill me. Went into the next game, realized that my dude was bleeding out of his ass and like had cancer. So I was like, I don't know if I'm really gonna stick with this game. Asked a couple of my friends if they wanted to play. I'm like, this is like a really hardcore milsim kind of style game. It might be fun if we get into it and like really like kind of like almost role play level comms, like using milsim stuff. Nobody wanted to play it, so I was like, fuck this game. Never touched it again. Never played it again. Played it one time with so bad. The game was running like shit on my pretty nice computer. It was like stuck at 1080p on my 1440 monitor. Dirty, gross looking. Couldn't find where anybody was. Get shot from 7 different directions. So bad. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I've never played this game. Turned it off. Never played it again. That's it. That's my whole experience with Tarkov.
It's probably for the best. Maybe just keep it that way.
Honestly, he helped me out because he instead of asking me to play Tarkov again, he got me to play Dark and Darker. And look at me now.
Boom.
There you go. On that note, I think we call it a wrap. This has been episode 23, Odin. It has been
round of applause for me, everybody.
Sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Indeed.
Let's hear it. Round of applause for me. Yes. Yeah.
Yippee.
All right. Hey, 23 episodes.
Give this man a proper send-off. Yeah,
That's
man, it's been awesome.
That's all for
You've
me.
been a fantastic addition to this program. You will be sorely missed, and we do hope very much that you can come back and be a guest star on the show.
Me too. Until then, Discount Odin, aka N Boss, will be here to entertain you. I think maybe we'll ask him.
It's
My
about
agent. Will,
Odin.
my agent will contact his agent. You know, it's weird how things work in Vegas. But
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
drive the Lamborghini over. Yeah.
yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye,
Cheers.
Odin.
Bye.
Thanks, all.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.